Jackson Kayak, Dock Talk, episode 30. What is going on, guys? It's Adam Fraser here. That's right. Tonight, I am the guest host. I'm sitting in the big chair. I got big shoes to fill tonight. Guys, I'm very grateful to be here. And at the same time, I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun. Now, what a great way to start this off with, a guy up in Canada who's going to run this. I just want to give a big shout out to Jackson Kayak for having me on, and at the same time having such a fantastic podcast that we can all learn something from, and at the same time it's a lot of fun. So here's the deal. You think, what am I going to talk about? And that's a good question, because tonight we're going to talk about content creation. And with content creation, I think this is probably one of the things most anglers, no matter what, might struggle a bit with. There are phenomenal content creators out there. And I thought, why not have somebody who knows content like nobody else, which let's play the intro and then let's bring them on in. All right. Let's go. Intro time. All right. So for tonight's guest is the one and only Chad Brock, who is, in my opinion, probably for content creation is the guy to talk to. So let's bring in our guest, Chad. Let's give him a warm welcome. Chad, how's it going tonight, dude?
Weird. I'm here at my podcast.
You're here.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. Well,
so it's different.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And I'll be honest with you. This is for me is a very neat place to sit. This is really your bread and butter here, like podcast talking. And I thought, this would be a kind of a fun topic to talk about is content creation. Something that you're really well at, and at the same time, that's your position with Jackson, right? Like that's what you're here to do.
Well, nobody really knows what I do. I'm just here. Just float around, do a lot of things. Keep it light, keep it loose, and try to have a little bit of fun with it. I guess would be my job at Jackson Kayak. We're all integrated in so many ways in what we do as a team in the marketing department. It's really wild. I mean, we're not just one person. We are truly a unit. And what we bring to the table every time that a boat launches, every time that a accessory launches. I mean, even in the day to day, I mean, it is a team effort, and we all touch bits and pieces. My part has kind of been evolving as I've grown, but it really does. It takes us all. Emily, Will, Bridget, Alec. I mean, everybody touches something and really makes the whole thing go. So it's not really just me. I just get to do some of the funner parts of it all, and I still got a lot of computer work to do, but I get to do some of the fun stuff too, like the podcast and whatnot, and that really keeps it interesting. I get to talk to you guys, and it's fun.
Yeah, well, and that's the one part. You can have all these great products, but if you don't have a way of marketing them, attracting an audience, that's kind of a tough sell at the end of the day when you have so many different platforms out there that are really there to help promote the products that, you're trying to get, really, you're trying to sell, and, when you're making new, whether it's kayaks, rods, reels, whatnot, social media plays such a huge role, in the presence of it. And when it comes with that, like, you almost have to have, you really need to have the eye, like you really need to know how, when, like even just content posting, creating content. So, before we dive right down that rabbit hole of content, as we all love, the fish and grip photos, the shots of kayaks or rods, tackle, like right behind me, you know what I mean? You just content of camaraderie between, anglers, and, you yourself, even though you do showcase a lot of content regarding, the different boats that come out at Jackson, plus all the accessories, you also showcase the camaraderie within kayak fishing, through your trail series that you worked and did a fantastic job at. Like kind of like, can you just kind of touch on that, like just that whole idea, you the trail to bring people together, but at the same time capturing like those shots, whether it's, the first morning light, being out there on the water to the end of the day, the awards, talking with these guys, shooting, like that. I gotta say that's kayak fishing. Like that's brings people together, and you've showcased that greatly.
Well, it's, I mean, what we do with anything, I mean, it doesn't matter if you play basketball, it doesn't matter what you do, pickleball. I mean, there's a lifestyle around every passion that a person has. And I think, when you look at kayak fishing, it's really technically no different. And that's one of the things that we've really looked at here over the past few months is, trying to build a lifestyle a little bit more around the brand. And, those some of those different shots where you're just paddling and, you know, one of the things that I do like to do is this is the really up close shots, and we talked a little bit more about that as we went through, and you can see kind of a little bit of an evolution, I think, with the big rig where we widen the frame out a little bit to show the wet landscape back behind the different things. Um, just to kind of show what it might, feel like to somebody that is a consumer. And it kind of sets the stage, we hope it sets the mood just a little bit. I mean, everybody's got different variations of different things. Um, but yeah, I mean, the trail series, you know, with the content that we and the things that we put out for that, I think looking at it, it was, it's not about us. It's not about, when you look at the trail series, if people buy boats, that's great. Obviously that would make our heart happy.
100%.
When you think about the trail series as a whole, we want those guys to feel special. We want them to feel appreciated. Hank, our champion that won,
Yeah.
the setting up where we had the podcast for them to come on, then having some different reels and some photos and whatnot of the guys out on the water during that event. you know, we posted the other brands. We took our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and we gladly post our competitors' boats just because, it's not about us in that moment. It was about the trail, the anglers that created that. It's wonderful that we can have a community
Yeah.
built around that. And, we just wanted to give those guys, to the best of our ability, some sort of a platform to showcase themselves and go from there.
No, that's, and that's awesome. Like when you can kind of step away from it all and say, like, yeah, Jackson has a fantastic lineup of boats, and there's going to be a lot of other people who fish this trail series that may not paddle Jacksons or pedal Jacksons or whatnot, but to go and showcase the anglers, it's the people who keep the people coming. It's that camaraderie that brings people together. And I think that's one of the biggest things that drives me in kayak fishing is, it's the people. Like, as much as I love to get out on the water and catch fish, the people that I meet along the way, whether, it's another angler or just, somebody that, is getting into it, or somebody that's been doing it, or, getting out with those guys that, you may not see all the time, but you have those paddle adventures together. Yeah, I like to capture that too. Now, for me, like, when you kind of think of like fishing in general, like when I started kayak fishing, I'll be honest with you, I started in 2014, and there's a lot of other people who've been doing it longer than me, but a lot of the times I went out, like there was no phone that I had a phone, but I wasn't like, snap a picture, or, I didn't have a GoPro, or I wasn't taking shots of the boat, you know what I mean? But the further and further I got into it, the more and more I wanted to share my story with the world, and I feel like, we're all kind of telling a story, whether maybe some of these stories have a lot of similarities, but where did that point for you start, where, you started to see, this, the photographer's eye, you're starting to, you want to capture, you want to share. For me, it didn't come for a few years, but when I started to begin to share, I started to see the community more and more, and I started to see like, wow, like there's a lot of talented content creators. And from somebody who's also new to the Jackson team, I've seen for quite a few years prior, Jackson's content and their content creation, it's pretty impressive. And like, I think too, like, as much as that part is, maybe wasn't something you might have done years ago, like a lot of people do photography, but like, cinematography and whatnot. Where did that begin for you though, Chad?
Oh, I feel like as a kid. So it's been an evolution. When I was a little kid, I wanted to work in Disneyland. I wanted to do nothing but draw cartoons and different things. But as age has come into play, I mean, I still, I'm lucky I get, you know, to be an artist in some form every single day in a way. But there's always been that. It's just that tinkering passion of creating something, and it started early. And I just always, I mean, not to beat my chest, but I see things differently. I think I see things faster and I see things differently. I mean, um, it's just like you're always looking ahead. You're always visualizing kind of where you want to go. And I think that comes from, drawing and that part of the art early, because when you're drawing something, you can see it before it's there. So I think that kind of evolved, and my wife is actually a better photographer than I'll ever probably be. I just get lucky and play around and do some different things with video. And Zach and I started probably hitting the photos and the different things hard back, I would say, in the earlier 2000s is kind of when we started doing that. And then it's just drastically evolved from there. That's kind of when the photography part came alive. I mean, Facebook and all that was introduced, and from there it just kept going. It's still going, which is
No,
wild.
it's funny you mentioned wanting to work at Disney. I grew up on the west coast of Canada, and the west coast being Vancouver area. It was the lower mainland, but very close to Vancouver. Um, film. Film is huge out there. Like, you can go to school for photography, artist management, and the list goes on, from prop building to, set everything. And in high school, I was always drawn to film. Film was my favorite. I loved shooting videos, whatever the topic was to shoot for, it was fun. And the video editing was something that just, to me, it just clicked. And it's funny though, because after high school, I didn't really take that same direction. I spent a lot of time out on the road with bands and whatnot. And then I went back to school and I picked up a trade, and I ended up settling more on being a welder, and I kind of forgot about that stuff. And then later on, I really begun with kayak fishing. When I began to capture and kind of share my story, I started to play around with a lot of these things. And, it's something simple as just starting and playing with, the Instagram filters, you know what I mean? Posting, and or just capturing not just the fish, but capturing, the moment of being out there, the landscape. And yeah, and that's when, to me, it just like clicked, and it was just like, you'd done something years ago that really, kind of brought it back. I don't want to say you felt like you're in high school again, but it kind of sat back and said, this seems very familiar to me. Like it feels like, like this is what I should be doing. And I always kind of said that I enjoy sharing my story with others. And, I love, you know, that idea that, you can take something and you can do it a different ways. So here's one. You have a lot of people now who, kayak fishing is really becoming, more and more popular. And you're seeing more and more people out there. You're seeing a lot of the groups come together. So for somebody, when you're creating content, for somebody that's starting out, okay, like you want to kind of, you take photos, whatnot, think about this. If you were to start this now, being, where you are today, how would you approach this even more? Because now you have, it's not just photos anymore. You have reels, short video, and the reels really, to me, seem is what's really push, that 20 seconds clip, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's straightforward, it's straight to the point, you know what I mean? So for those guys that are, when we're looking to create content, what's some advice that you could give somebody, like, thinking about it, like, how would you kind of approach that nowadays?
Well, so I think, most people nowadays, when you talk about everything, you do need to be, not have to be, you need to be very diverse. Just like you were saying, you've got photos, reels, and it's a different form of storytelling. You can post one photo, and I still post a lot. If you go to my personal page, I still post a lot of single photos just because I don't care. I do what makes me happy there. But when you look at photos, Instagram, Facebook, they want you to post multiples now. So you get what is the carousel. What you've actually got there with carousels is an opportunity to tell a story. You can kind of go through frame by frame, and tell a story with each frame as you scroll across, and that's kind of a neat feature that's there. And it's different than the reels. It kind of lets you dabble a little bit in both. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just a monster. To do it and do it well, I think you have to feed all aspects of it all the time, really. I mean, if you want to be successful at it, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter what kind of camera you have as long as you can get out there and make something.
Yeah,
Everybody's phones, the iPhone 15 that everybody's talking about now, has got capabilities way beyond what most people will ever even use. Same with the Samsung phones. So whatever phone that you're carrying around in your pocket, I'm sure it's plenty good enough to get out there, create reels, create photo collages, and the different things like that. But yeah, I mean, just hammer at it. That's the best. If I was going to give anybody advice on it today,
yeah.
it would just be like, go to town. I mean,
Yeah.
and it all depends on how far somebody wants to take it. If they don't want to take it that far, then post what makes you happy. Post one photo here, one photo there. You can post 3 times a week. You can post one time a week. But if you want to take it seriously and take it up to the next level, then yeah, you gotta. These days, you pretty well got to hammer at it.
Yeah, day after day, time, that finding the right hour, you could literally go on Google, when's the best time to make an Instagram post,
Yep.
and it would give you the times where you would actually excel the likes. It would also then tell you the best times to post a reel. The best time to do a TikTok, and posting. And, it's funny you say it, because I've actually gone and said, I'll post at this. If they say this time, I'm going to try this. But I just want to stop you here for one. You brought up a really good point, and you talked about the camera. Okay. And it's interesting because you'll see a lot of guys talk about, what is, like, what camera do you use, and somebody like me, I just use my iPhone. Like, my iPhone is how I tell my story, like I shoot with it, whether it's video, selfies, photography, that's what I use. I would love to have like an actual, like, proper camera for it, just because my dad, who is in his 70s, has taken up photography. So but the camera, when you look at phones, and then you look at GoPros, or just action cameras, there's so many on the market. What would you if you're going to suggest a GoPro, let's say, there's so many. I don't know. I'm sure you probably use quite a few of them, but
So
like, what would you suggest?
So I don't use GoPros anymore because it's just one of those things.
Okay.
I had plenty of problems with the overheating and different things like that, and I use DJI Osmos now, and I love them. I think they do a really great job. They have a little bit different palette to them as far as the GoPro goes. I mean, GoPros are fine if that's your cup of tea, but to pair with my other equipment, the the DJIs are where it's at for me. So if I was going to recommend one, I would highly recommend, if you don't want to fight overheating and some of the different things like that. There's a lot of great reviews out there on YouTube right now, and people are really pushing the DJI Osmo 4. It's just a really phenomenal camera. So if somebody's looking for a brand new action cam, that's the one to go with right now. That's the hot one. That's the hot one on the trending list.
On the trending list. Okay, so with every trending list, there's a price point, and this is the next thing. Like, not every angler's got a budget. Maybe some don't. Maybe some do. For me, I have used GoPros before. I've lost them. And I've kind of said, I can get away using my phone. But the price point, on some of these GoPros are, they're up there. And then
about $500-$600 at launch
anymore. And then you got to think about mounts. And when you look at kayaks, like, so we're talking cameras here, mounts, the angle of these mounts, positioning yourself, so in your eyes, what's the best position if you're going to be doing a fish photo? How about this? You've caught a fish, you got it up there, and you want to snap a photo with it. You want to do the famous, grip and lip photo right there. And, walk us through it, like because with content creation, it does take a little bit of work. You know what I mean? Whether you got to get that boat over, you really, now the sun, you got the sun. Which way are you going to be facing with the sun? You know what I mean? Do you want it forward? Do you want it at your back?
Well, I have an intern, so I just holler at him. But no, I think you do some various. You try to keep it varying. You don't want every one of them to look the same. So with like the Yak Attack boomsticks and the different things like that, you can really take those and move those around in so many variations anymore to achieve a different look, and it's so easy to do. I typically keep one in the front of my boat, and I keep one behind me.
Yeah.
But you look at somebody like Robert Field, and he's got them off to the sides, and you look at what he does, and it's like, how does he even cast? Because he's got several different cameras all the way around him. Excuse me. But just try to keep changing it up, I think. So when you go to look at your page, or I sit there and I look at what I've done. It's kind of like I flip back through there and try not to replicate if I can. It's kind of hard to do sometimes, but you try to go through and make it so it doesn't look the same every single
Yes.
time. And that way, you give your viewership a reason to stay, give them a little bit something different every time. So
Yeah.
try to change up those angles. I know, you hear talk about guys sticking a monopod or a tripod in the shallow area and then backing up off of it and using their GoPro and their phone and setting a timer and stuff like that, and that works out really well. So you can do stuff like that to get your full boat shots, or just holler at a buddy. That's the simplest way to do it. If you've got a buddy close by, put the fish back in the water the best you can, and fish grips, a net, whatever you've got to make the situation work,
Yeah.
and just let that fish chill out and get your buddy and get a quick photo.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you bring up that whole part about, content not really all looking the same, you had like, I think that's where the creativity really comes in. You know what I mean? That's where you start to see that bit of the artistic look to it. I'm huge on that. Like, like as much as I love all these photos of, fish, especially smallmouth, like, hands down, like my favorite fish to catch. But having a page that's full of that, it's definitely interesting. But you look at how, you throw in, for instance, you have some great photos. So for instance, you catch a fish and, you do, you showcase that fish, you showcase its sheer beauty, whether, you're up closer, you do one of those proud poses where, you're just kind of in the background of that thing and you're holding it up, or, you begin to do a quick release, safe release video. Really cool shot. Actually, one of my favorite shots are the ones where they slide them back into the water and that camera is right there and you can see it begin to take back off and you can kind of hear, it going. Dustin Nichols, I would say his shots of redfish and all sorts of the fantastic fish that he goes down there in Texas fishing for, but just the angle of his shots, they're impressive, to me. Like it doesn't just showcase the catch. It doesn't showcase he's got the boat, he's got, the fish, the rods in the background, but it's just that angle that it just captures that whole moment, that sense of, you're proud of that. But the one thing I really noticed, especially about your page, is when you do reels, quick, to the point, but tell such a unique story. You know what I mean? Like that you have so many different shots, and you, for instance, like you take what you did with the big rig when you did the relaunch of the big rig, like all that, like that video is 2 minutes, if that, I want to say.
I don't remember. It's
But
all
like,
here and gone, so I don't
yeah.
think about it anymore. But
But
yeah,
like,
I mean,
what,
you
like
do.
all that, like you take that small video, how much time did you actually put in with all those clips that you had to do,
Write it down.
Okay, perfect.
So it's all in my head before it ever starts most of the time. And um, I still don't think we've had proper time to do exactly what we're capable of or want to yet. We've actually got a path and a plan coming up for 2024 that really is different. Those are actually notes for a 2024 project that I've started writing down. But it's like today I did a reel with Evolve Fishing, and it probably, I could tell you exactly how many frames actually, because it's still in the hopper here. But it probably took. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Wow.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11 clips. That eclipses like 27 seconds. Um, but that whole thing took probably about 2 hours. Some of them take longer. We've been joking around on some of the previous podcasts. We were just joking with Jason Sealock on Tuesday. We it's easy to railroad yourself in a corner. Like we wanted to do one for Cast King and Jackson that had spinner baits, and like that sounds like a really cool idea. Till I ain't biting on a freaking spinnerbait, and then it takes, it can take 3-4 hours. I mean, it just depends until you cross paths with a dumb one that's like, hey, I want to hit that. You're not throwing something at the fish, particularly that fish wants. You take like something like the big rig video, and it's like, okay, need to throw a couple fish catches in here, and you've been jacking around and not really worrying about the fish catches and
Yeah.
trying to get all the little bits and pieces that are the big rig and the up close views and different things like that. Once you start playing with the fish, it can and you're trying to catch them for camera, it adds a whole different element to it. It's exactly like what Mark Zona says, when he goes and does his show, Zona's Awesome Fishing Show, that is his tournament because it's pressure. I mean, it's pressure to go out there
Oh,
and make something happen. So yeah, it can take a while. I mean, and they don't all form over time. Like you'll gather so many clips. Like I've got Google Drive files that are just full of stuff that people probably haven't seen and probably won't see. Just they're just various clips, and I'll throw one in from time to time. Just like I've got a catalog of little drone deals that I've done over the years that I've
Oh,
just
there's
set back and just threw in a closet somewhere, and they just hang out until I'm ready to use one. Or you know, most of the time you go out and try to build one from scratch, and it's just like it takes forever. It especially when you think about setting up. If you're doing it yourself, setting up and getting all those different scenes and making sure that you actually grab focus can be hard.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned, you're out there for hours, and the one thing you kind of look at is that, well, you're out there fishing, and you're just like, come on, like just take it, because that shot, that 2 seconds that fish takes it, and that rod bends, and you're setting the hook, that's what you're searching for that little piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the icing on the cake to what
It's as
a
it's as
drawing.
satisfying or more than winning a tournament, knowing that you actually have that shot completed.
So it's funny you had mentioned drones, and drones are
Hmm.
a pretty neat toy to play with, and I know quite a few people that use them,
Hmm.
and I know guys too that they at my work, that's their job, is they run drones
Hmm.
for different projects and whatnot. And wow, like that's a whole nother
It's
ball
a
game
whole
right
different
there,
animal.
man. Like
Yeah,
that's impressive, and
and
the
you're
shots are really cool.
yeah, and just so anybody that's watching needs to know, I mean, right out of the gate before you start talking about that, you need a Part 107 license to properly fly a drone and um, make money from any type of sponsorship, YouTube, realtor, job. Anytime that there's money involved with a drone, you must have a Part 107 license. So don't go just buy a drone and think that it's okay.
So is that
You need that license from the.
okay now? Because you hear about like professional drone
Mm-hmm.
flyers, like I would
Yep.
say they're pilots, I guess. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Um, Now, so drones, is that something that content creation you do a lot of?
Yeah, it's fun to. That's it's a hobby within the hobby. It's a hobby within the hobby within the hobby because as kids we grew up playing Super Mario Brothers, so it's fun to go out there and fly the drone and try not to hit something with it. Um, it's just fun to go and fly them. So if that's something that you enjoy, yeah, it's worth getting into and flying. Just like I said, you need to make sure that you follow proper regulations to fly a drone. You need to, if you don't have
No,
the license, you need to be underneath
that's a good point.
249 grams, which is the minis, the Mavic minis.
Okay.
Any of those you can fly and just have fun. You just can't sell the footage.
Oh wow. Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's I didn't know that actually. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I'd be interested to know how that is for Canada. If the
I think it's
drone,
pretty much the same.
yeah, there's a good chance
It's
it is.
pretty much globally now that you need those licenses to fly your drones. Most countries.
Wow. Now, when you're those shots, when
Mm-hmm.
you've captured it, and that drone is a couple 100 feet in the air, let's say, and you got that boat, um, and it's the only one on the lake. That shot like that, those are pretty impressive. That
You get the shot and then you try to land it immediately so you
can you
don't
do that
drop it in the
catch?
water.
Yeah, catch on the water. Yeah.
No, if I
No.
know I've got the shot, I will put it on the bank and wade through the mud to go get it because
Yeah.
I don't trust myself sometimes to catch it. I'll launch it from my hands, but uh, you know, it just takes that whole split second of you accidentally bumping that lever as you're trying to turn it over and flying it straight into the water. So yeah, I'll land it on the shoreline and then grab it if I can.
Now, yeah, it's funny you say that because you also see a lot of those drone footages where for whatever reason, it's home is not returning,
Hmm.
or it
Oh
returns
yeah.
and it goes into the water, or you see
Hmm.
the catch and you end up missing it. I'm sure, with the drone technology that, you would think that, if you got a product that, is very costly, you would think that you would have some sort of retrieval device, or, that thing is in some ways waterproof up to a certain point, I bet. But yeah, no, that's a lot. That can be, I guess, an expensive hobby to have, for that one shot, compared to, let's say, camera, your regular action camera, or just your cell phone, which I think we've all been there when we've don't went to take a fish photo and then had the fish kick it out of our hands and then do the quick jump to try and save it. But yeah, no, like, and just going back on another one too, variety.
Huh?
I think that is such a good point that you brought up, is variety.
Huh?
Now,
Yeah.
in variety, and is your way of your story. It's part of your story. It's like another
Hmm.
character in the lineup. Whether you showcase tackle. I'm guilty as being a gear junkie, and I love to showcase tackle, and finding those shots. For me is I spend time. I like to be creative about it. And I think too, like anybody who's really growing their social media, whether it be Instagram or Facebook. I personally really enjoy Instagram just because how did somebody had said it is like the back wall of the tackle shop. We all post something up there, whether we're using it as a journal, or whether I prefer to have more of a variety within my content, not just necessarily fish, but also, capturing landscape, also capturing boat, tackle. That's what I enjoy. And I think anybody who, the variety in your content, it is so true that, you really begin to, you not everything's going to be, maybe what you thought would be, the like, and or and everybody creates content for their own reasons, whatnot. But for me, it's really just share my story, and that's where the
Hmm.
variety of it. I prefer to have a variety. Would you? And I think you would be probably the same. Hey, like when you look at your Instagram page, you really do capture a variety of shots and a variety of reels. It's not just maybe necessarily all fish, or all tackle,
I'm
or
I'm super picky. about my Instagram grid, and I know you're not supposed to be that way. You're not supposed to care, but like I had a picture from my DJI camera the other day, and I posted it in the morning, and I was like, I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm gonna post it. And I went back later on and deleted it because it didn't mesh with the pictures out of my big camera. So like, yeah, I think about that kind of stuff. Like um, one of the quotes I think that really stands out to me um, when we talk about making content is there's something about doing things that allows your inner child to be happy. So when you're doing it, it's like I look at my page differently than maybe you would look at your page. I look at it and I like, it's wintertime now, so I've kind of switched my colors so that, I kind of edit towards, you see a little bit more of the teals and stuff like that, just because it's winter. It's getting to be winter. It looks different outside than it does in the summer, where the summertime, warmer, more contrast, different things like that. So my photos look different in the summer than they do in the winter. So I like to go and I like to look and I like to make sure that they all kind of like follow that same vibe all the way through. Um, but it's weird, but it's what makes my inner child happy is that everything matches and that actually probably OCD, but um, it's just one of those things. I think that you need to make what makes you happy. Don't the part of it, I think, as you get into this whole thing is don't make it for the algorithm, make it for you. There's always going to be enough people out there to make it for the algorithm to, get famous. If you're looking to get famous, yeah, by all means, go please the algorithm. But if you're just looking to like make some cool stuff and you look at it as an art, then do what makes you happy.
Yeah, no, and that's a one point that you really do see, and um, I would say in the beginning, yeah, I would say I really was one of those people who were like, oh, gotta have this, gotta have that, but then what I really learned is that you're if you're gonna rush through something just to whether it's likes or whether it's an attention or whatnot. I go back out there now and like I spend my time, whether it's fishing, in the boat, waiting or just cool new piece of tackle that I want to share with the world. I go there and it's just, yeah, it's so true. It's that inner child. It's like, this is like a hobby for me. Like I enjoy it. And, I spend that time just, taking that extra moment to see if that shot is really what I thought it would be, trying new things, new angles. And the biggest thing, just like fishing, is the only way you're going to learn is by doing it. This is where you got to play around with stuff. This is like this, and you brought up another fantastic. When you talked about the way that you changed the look almost to the time of year, you're talking about the pastels, the teals, and whatnot. To flow more with this time of year where it gets darker. Like up here in Canada, like for me, like my season is pretty well coming to an end. Like it's gotten too cold on the water, in my opinion, to be out there, and the days just aren't getting warm enough, and the light's just not staying. It gets dark quick. And I find too, I begin to switch, and I go with more of I wouldn't say you still get the fish photos in it, but I look at my content another way, and I take it a bit of a different direction than, sharing these, great fishing photos. I focus, I lean towards more tackle, tips and tricks, but yeah, no, like shades, that's, I think that's fantastic. That's really neat. Like I would never have thought of doing that.
It's just something that I've picked up over time, and it's just like it is just me. It's not well. It's not just me. There's a whole genre of
Yeah.
folks out there that do those different kind of things, and it's just the style of pictures that I want to take. And You're always trying to emulate art in some way, shape, or form. I think when you push the envelope and you look at different things, I'm still a bass head first, and I'm out there to catch the fish. But it's at the same time, it's a great way to take people with us on our adventures, and it's just neat. It's it's like you've said, it's a way to invite those folks out with you, um, to go do something. I mean, sure, you can get on there and you can make the funny reels and you can make all the different stuff. And, then you've got people like me, and that's not really my style. And then you've got people that like, to make tips and tricks videos. And, there's a place for all that. And that's what's beautiful about it. So I think that that falls right back into the, being able to make something that makes you happy as well.
Oh, 100%, and you really, when you look at it at the end of the day, like if you would have said, would you ever thought that like in some ways you are like a social media artist, you know what I mean? Like you go as much as, I get it. There's YouTubers and, TikTok and whatnot. And people are making money to create videos and these big followers and stuff. And for sure, like, the content is, it's all over the place. There's an array of it, but yeah, when you really showcase that, I wouldn't have said that, years ago that I ever thought I would be, really showcasing, kayak fishing, let alone did I ever think I'd get into kayak fishing. But, it's interesting. And, that little artist in us and that inner child, it's so true. You do sit back and you go like, damn, like I look at that, like, yeah, I too myself, I look at my Instagram page and I love Instagram. I just love, I love that you can throw something up. It's almost like walking through like a art gallery. You know what I mean? Like you're going through and you see everything, but it's just, you see the photo, there's reels and you see the video, but it truly is, and it's each and every one has its own story, and I'm sure that's why, I really thought like, at this, content creation, a lot of people, I would say, you would be the guy to talk to, like you are, content creating, you have the eye for it. And what a better topic. Now, reels, that's, for when you go in, I think reels
it's its own beast.
It's to me, reels are where it's at, like you will definitely, whether it's, and a lot of the, I don't know if, somebody new who's coming into it is, there's a load of templates that you can use. You play around with them, see what you can do, add a little music, you know what I mean? And in some ways, like a lot of these social media platforms, as confusing as some of them may seem, but they are there, to kind of guide you at the same time. And the more you play with these, and I've done it too, where I've gone and I've kind of played, like I took one photo and I had 12 edits of it.
Oh yeah.
Only because
I probably got that. It's only because I'm never satisfied.
That's it. I sat there on, like, it's funny because we were on a family trip in Mexico, and we were sitting at the airport, and we had, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours or so before we had to board. And I was going through, and the kids are on their iPads. My wife's reading her book, and I'm going through, and I'm like sitting there going. And this lady leans over and she goes, "You got a lot of pictures of like fish." I said, "Yeah, I know. Like, I do. Like, and it's not just multiple fish. It could be one fish that I've kind of done different ways, but then I've taken that edit and I've edited it so many different ways, but then yet I'm not satisfied with it. And so it literally, it goes in the hold. It's like, yep, it's staying there. And
you never will be.
And then I go back, and I'll redo it over and over. And it's funny, and I won't. And a lot of them, you know, like people take, you know, social media content creation, you know, like it's a passion, but at the same time, like a lot of people put a lot of hard-earned time into that, you know?
Yeah, they do. And, you know, I'm guilty of not getting out there and liking photos enough, because I get so busy, between everything that I've got going. So, you know, you look at it and you think, I mean, and with kids especially, man, it's like it really means something to them to get that appreciation. It means something. While it's wild that it does mean something to people. And you know, like you said, it is a lot of work when you take the time to put in. I mean, if you go on a shoot and you spend 2-3 hours to collect something, you want people to like it. Um, you know, it's wild. It's wild that's a form of gratification, but at the same time, you talk about being the artist, and you know that 2 to 3 hours is your heart and soul. I mean, in a
100%.
way, and that's kind of where that comes from for a lot of people, and that's why people get down or discouraged. You know, you see a lot of people that start off hot and heavy, and they just go and they go and they go and they go. Um, but yeah, I mean, and we're always chasing that perfection, at the same time of not
Yeah.
being happy with the way something comes out. I've got more on my Lightroom. Um, there's 3,000 photos in there, for this year right now, and that's not counting what's been deleted.
Oh God, I couldn't even tell you.
And it's, you know, those are just this year, and they've not all been edited. Because I'll look at them, I'll flip through them probably every day, and I'll look for one, and I think, it's not quite good enough. Oh, it's not quite good enough.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, it probably is for most people. Because let's face it, it literally lives for an hour, and then it's gone into the algorithm.
Yep.
Some stuff will go on, but for most average people, it lives for about an hour. Um, so, you know, with that being said, you know, you're always going to chase that perfection. I'll look at the reel that I just done for Evolve Fishing tonight, and I will go back and I will look at it later. And so I could have done it faster. Could have done this. Could have got this clip just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Stuff this one in here. That cut doesn't seem quite right. The more you watch something, the more it is. Zach and I will send stuff back and forth to each other a lot, and we probably shouldn't, because it takes us way too long to post something. Some of the better ones that I made, you know, like I made one of Sheldon Grace this week. I made one of Gene this week off of footage from
Yeah.
the TV show out there that lands in my lap. And I just threw those two together, found a song, went, yeah, it's got a vibe. Just tried to hit the beat the best I could. It worked. And, you know, sometimes they come quick, sometimes they come fast. Sometimes they come quick and fast, and sometimes they take a little bit. But, you know, it, you're still never, I mean, when it's your own personal, I can be happy with the one I did for Gene and the one I did of Sheldon. I can be happy with those.
Fantastic
But
clips.
yeah, but the ones that are on my page that, like, I know that I filmed it, I did it, I edited it, I did everything that has to do with it,
Yeah.
drives me insane.
Yeah.
But the ones that, you know, ones I throw up on Jackson most of the time are just, you know, I get them done, I look at them, I say that's plenty good, and I don't fester over those probably as much as I would like mine, because I don't know, I just, for some reason, you've always put more value in something that you do for yourself, I think. Not that
Well,
I don't put value in the ones that I do for work, because I do like doing it.
yeah. Well, and it comes with the job, right? Like that's what I mean. Like you're somebody that excels greatly in it, but at the same time, like you also that's your job, you know, like that's what
Yeah.
you're there to do. And having all the and you having like all the right tools, but one of the biggest tools, you know, is, you know, for with photo editing, for anybody that, you know, you're content creating,
Mhm.
there is quite a few of them, you know, out there that you can use Lightroom would be one of them. I believe Adobe is another one.
Well, Adobe Lightroom. So that's probably if you can budget the $9.99 a month for the pro version.
Yeah.
They've also got a free version that you can download. You don't get as many of the features, but it's worth it. I would highly recommend that if you do make that purchase it on your laptop or computer and then download the app after the fact. That way you get the full version on your desktop and then the full version on your phone. If you go that route, Snapseed used to be a good one. I've not used it for a really, really, really long time. I think it was owned by Google, if I remember right.
Now,
Um, but yeah, there's a few
PS
of them out there.
PS
Find the one you
Express.
like. Don't use the HD. Don't use the HDR filter either. Please stop. It's 2023. Don't hit the HDR button.
HDR.
Don't make your photo. Yeah, yeah. It was in Snapseed. It was a button that made your photos look like cartoons. Don't do it.
Oh yes, yes, yeah.
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 CapCut. Rick Doors in the comments. He mentions CapCut. That's a great one for reels. Yeah, a lot of people are using that for their reels. I personally have it. I don't use it,
Yeah.
but it
I've
is
made
it
I've
is a
made a
really
couple
good
with
one.
them. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
it's a really good one.
so as we're coming near an hour here.
Mhm.
If you were going to give advice to anybody who is looking to up their content, if you had to give them three pieces of advice, what would it be?
Invest in yourself. Um, Always and forever. That's the biggest thing I think. If you want to do it and you want to take it seriously, invest in yourself. Invest in graduating. Your skill level um, through YouTube videos. Get on there, invest time into watching and learning. Different editing techniques, different filming techniques, different photo techniques. I mean, there's a whole plethora of items out there that you can view and study, and people that will teach you how to use the manual settings on the cameras that you have, and eventually upgrade from that phone camera. I think is the big one. There's a lot of great starter cameras out there. I mean, it's 2023. You're going to be hard pressed to find something that sucks unless you buy something that's really jacked off Amazon. Um, there's Canon makes a low end camera that's good. Nikon makes a low end camera that's good. Sony makes some lower end cameras that's really nice. So, if you get a chance and you want to take it serious, invest in yourself and do some of those things. Invest time, invest, a little bit of money goes a long way sometimes. But, it's not for everybody and not everybody takes it that serious. It's just, a select few of us out there that you know, we like it and we enjoy the art form.
Now, Gene Wilson has asked a question here that we can touch on
Hmm.
monetizing content here. Now, I think
Hmm.
that's a fantastic question for you here.
So yes, if you have enough followers and you can, I highly recommend doing it. You know, um, I've got the little blue check mark on Facebook, and my stuff on Facebook's actually all monetized. Um, it's a great way to if you enjoy it. It's a great way to make a little bit of money. But here is the reality. Unless you're Taylor Swift or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, don't plan on making a whole lot. You'll make a little bit, but it takes some pretty big numbers to make a pretty good chunk of change on social media. So don't go into monetizing um, thinking that you're going to get rich off of it, because you make a few bucks, but you're not gonna change the landscape at a moderate following. Um, Best thing that I could tell anybody to do that's interested in growing that way is to take their Instagram, take their Facebook, and turn them into creator pages. It's kind of the new thing it was a new thing on Instagram a little bit back, that you could turn your page and not turn it into a business page, but you could turn it into a creator page. Um, and then you could start to get some different tools and the monetizations and the different things like that. And then Facebook recently, within the last year, come out with the ability to create the creator page, and it's pretty great. You get a set of like tools that you can see, how you're doing as far as your engagement and different things. But the key to success, and this is the most important part of social media, for the record. It's called social media. You need to be social. One of the big things that's going on right now, and the way that you'll continue to grow if you want to be monetized, is to actually get on there. Somebody makes a comment on your photo or your post, answer it, reply, reply to every single person. Because it's all about engagement. If you don't engage and you don't be social with social media, then you're going to wonder why your numbers are falling. If you get on there and make a post and then call me in a day and go, well, it just didn't get the numbers it used to get. Well, you should probably engage with people more.
Yeah, and then what better way to engage with people is making posts, but also taking the time to engage with those posts. You know what I mean? And that is so true, and it is. You see a lot of great content out there, but if you don't have that engagement, being like I said on social media, I find certain platforms it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like you're just it's not it's Facebook is it's a very social media, very much so gauged for people to interact. Instagram, yes and no, like it's one photo, couple reel, a blurb, and that's it. Where Facebook, you can really go and share everything with it. Online presence, I think, is definitely a huge one, and in this day and age, with all the different platforms that are out there, the more you can get on and interact with people, it's probably definitely going to help you in the long run. I do think, though, taking the time to recognize the people that take the time to appreciate your content is huge. Like that is a number one thing for me. I totally agree with that. You take the time, like everybody, and it's also, there's a lot of guys there too, that are starting out, who are trying to in your community or just on the pages on Facebook, taking the time to recognize those guys too. Though that to me is, that's huge. They take time to recognize everything that you put out. You should take time to recognize them, So, okay. So we got another one. It says overposting. Is this such a thing? Think it could have a negative effect, overposting, so putting out way too much content too quick. I know at some point if you post too much on Instagram, they'll slow you down for 24 hours, I think it is.
Yeah, I think you can overpost, you can overdo it. Man, it's such a weird vibe. There's dudes out there, gosh, what's his name? Vaynerchuk, Gary, I can't remember how to say his last name. I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk, but he'll tell you, man, like post like 6 times a day. Cameron Haynes, a big high profile hunter, man, he used to post like 6 times a day. And this was all like early day stuff, like,
wow.
Keep yourself in the feed, keep yourself growing, keep yourself
be
going.
present.
Yeah, be present constantly. And man, I don't know, I think you can still take that route, it's not a bad thing. I think it can be excessive. I think people get burnt out pretty easy anymore because our attention span's like so short. You'll burn yourself out, I think, before you burn out, the whole spiel as far as, overposting. So I think, find something that's moderate to you. Like I said, it can be one time a week, it can be 3 times a week, and it can be every day. You can make a post a day. There was a chick on Instagram that I was been following. She actually went out and made a reel every day for 30 days, and she just posted one a day. But she spent time, made quality stuff, and it blew up her page. It really went well for her. So, it can still be done. It's just all about having the right content, hitting the
Right audience is
right audience at the right time. I mean, the
huge.
fishing niche is going to hit the fishing people. But we're a lot smaller community than what people realize, and it's still it's tougher. It's tougher to grow in that space than it is a lot of the others.
So
Um,
hashtags is another one, like it kind of falls with that. There's a lot of people that you see. I'd be guilty of it. Is in the past of excessive amount of hashtags. It's like hashtag almost like the whole the they got more hashtags than a quick narrative blurb about your post. You know what I mean? Would you say that hashtagging too much is would be a negative effect also? Or do you say,
to
actually,
some
no,
people, to some
what that
people,
actually,
it looks bad.
it would
To
grow
the
it?
algorithm, it doesn't. They say anywhere from 5 to 30, and it's really mixed. I mean, you get people that say, "Oh, stick with 5. Oh, stick with 5," and
Yeah.
this is like recent. And then you've got people that say, "No, no, no, get 30, get 15, get 15, get 30." It's all over the place. But the big thing is keywords that you're putting in there for hashtags and in your post now too. Everything is still built around SEO, search engine optimization, and Google and all the AI
Interesting.
junk that's out there.
Yeah.
So you really want to put like keywords like kayak fishing, bass fishing. You really want those keywords in your post, so it kind of like starts lining up with some of the things that you're trying to hit, whether it's used in a hashtag or used in your verbiage. It goes a long way. The other big thing in that sense, some people have this tool and some people don't. You can actually click on advanced at the bottom of your post, and you can go through and put down. You could have to go down there, and you can actually describe what is in the photo. So it's for like the hearing impaired. So I guess it reads it off to somebody that is visually impaired,
Yeah.
um, so they can actually hear hear the description of
Of
that
the
photo and
photo.
what it
Yeah.
is.
That's really
So make
cool.
sure you fill that out, but also, that's a place for like those keywords and the different things that people want in there, the algorithm and the Google verse want.
Yeah. That's neat. I didn't know about that advanced. That'd be pretty cool. Like, try that
Yeah,
out.
there's a lot. There's a lot to it. There again, you can spend a lot of time on Instagram or on YouTube and jump in there and really read and listen and see all kinds of different things, but you know make it yours. Let's see. There's more comments coming
Oh,
in. I give this much.
so,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
you got to try
100%.
to give them a minute. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Oh, you can see the comments on YouTube. Yes, we can actually see them on YouTube and Facebook.
Right
Wherever
on.
you're hanging at, we can kind of see them here.
Yeah. There's
Is
a
there a height regulation on drones? Yes, there is a height regulations on drones. Dale, who is my favorite content creator?
All right,
I
here
move
we
around.
go. I like it.
I move around. People would think I watch all kinds of stuff about fishing, but I don't. I watch probably more about cameras and camera gear and jargon than I do a lot of things. And I'm kind of like if it's shaky video, I will not watch it. Like I just can't. As far as my favorite fishing creators, I'm gonna go with Brandon Palnick and his guy Kyle. Uh, Bandy Hammer. They make probably some of the best fishing stuff that's out there. It's just, I like their vibe. I like the music they put in it. It's all just done very, very well. Um, on the camera side, like studying side, there's just a lot, man. There's a lot of freaking different people out there that like have good information and put out some really quality stuff. Um, BBT Outdoors. If you're like into hunting and you want like a killer page to follow, like for like white-tailed deer hunting,
Oh yeah.
it is, let's see, BBT production. Um, on the gram, man.
Nice.
They take
I like
some
that.
phenomenal photos. Um, and yeah, they put a ton of time and effort into it. Then man, it's really hard to pick one for fishing. I don't don't follow, like, I don't have a fisherman that stands out that like produces the type of content that I like seeing, like BBT Productions or even what is it? Dragons. Uh the Bayou Dragons. They're a group of duck hunters down in Louisiana, southeast Texas. I'm sorry.
Oh
Killer page as
yeah.
well. You guys should check them out too if you're looking for something that's hunting related to fall. Doyle Smith, one of our own team members, and um, his buddy Big Fish Energy, they put out some pretty good stuff too. So if you guys like fishing content that's really well done, Doyle does it. Dominic Doan puts out some pretty good, Instagram
Yeah.
content as well.
I like
So
Dominic.
definitely follow him.
Dominic has some really, his content is very unique. You know what I mean? Like I
Mhm.
really like his
He
take
got a
on
little
it.
bit more of a cinematographer. He's
Yes.
kind of in that same direction of the cinematographer feel. Same with Doyle and Big Fish Energy. They're all running around with bigger cameras and stuff like that. And all three of those are really good for inspiration ideas and different angles and stuff like that.
Yes, I've seen lots of Doyle's work, but I've also seen him firsthand when he is shooting, and that man
He goes for
he's
it.
a fantastic human being. But his work is like it's so well put together. It's
Mhm.
by his end product, and he does a lot like the Kayak Life, Fishing Life charity event, which is a big thing that we do in Eastern Ontario. He comes out and yeah, he's filmed some fantastic content for us. Even the first year that I met him, he started shooting. My buddy and I and my son, we were getting ready to head out, and he's like, you guys are getting ready? He's like, yeah. He's like, okay. Just kind of turns and starts filming us. And if you watch the video, my son and I and my buddy Steve, and yeah, no, it's I really think that's such a unique hobby to have. But like, if you can make that a career path, another person that I really enjoy following is Jimmy Ching. He
Yeah.
is a world-renowned photographer.
Yep.
He does documentaries, mostly for like National Geographic, The North Face. I'm huge into watching climbing, and I love rock climbing. But yeah, no, and that's somebody too that they just have the eye for it. It's the way they tell their story is I think that's really unique. I'm not going to say everybody can do it. You know what I mean? And it's
No,
I wish I had that. You know what I mean? Like when I
not
see that,
everybody sees it.
yeah.
Yeah, not everybody sees it. Not everybody's willing to lay down on the ground and go for it either, like to get that shot or whatever it is. So, excuse me.
Yeah,
You know,
it's so true. That
how
is the
long
part.
how long should YouTube videos be? Oh,
Oh wow. Well,
Man,
and
this is a loaded question.
yeah, and so it is a good question.
It's
Rick's
a great question.
got a really good question, and Rick is also he lives in my town of Cornwall, Ontario. Rick's a fantastic guy, just in the community of Kayak Bass Canada. Somebody who's getting into the sport, and yeah, so YouTube videos. You know, I I listened to somebody talk about, their biggest point, their biggest tip into getting into YouTube videos is being consistent. Like, don't go
Consistency.
chasing the likes. Like, you don't go if you're doing it for the likes, okay, but be consistent. Just keep pushing out the content,
Yeah.
whether it's the time frame was, it was really open ended, but he said the more, instead of looking at how long your videos should be, think about the consistency in putting out videos. You know what I mean? Like, being able to consistently put a video out, keep your audience growing that way, and hopefully, I'm trying to think of the guy's name right now, but he said, yeah, like I would just keep putting videos out, I think it was Creek Crawler, to be honest with you. You just keep putting videos out, and then eventually it's going to start to roll, and people are going to start to notice it, and you're going to start to see the comments and the likes.
Yeah, and some people will tell you too that it could take a year, it could take 2 years. I mean,
Mhm.
it varies. But man, make if it's good and it's interesting. I'm the same way. Like I would rather watch a video on YouTube that's like good in 45 minutes. Like it's 45 minutes long, but it's like epically filmed. I'll watch that like a movie. It's like um
Slab Dynasty. Have you heard of them?
yeah.
Yeah, though I watched them do a video of the New River, I think it was,
Hmm.
and I thought, like, it was almost like a movie. Like, I was sitting there watching it. I'm just like, this is on YouTube. Like, this is phenomenal. Like, I really thought, and it really caught my eye. And it's such a good point, is when you look at the quality, you know what I mean? If you're gonna have like
Hmm.
and and by no means I'm a YouTuber. I haven't dabbled that way video wise. To me, yeah, it looks like it's a fair bit of work, but it's true. The content, the quality of the content, that's huge, because I think too there are a lot of great videos out there that, like, the content idea is there, but it's the quality that in the end it hurts it. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's, I don't want to say camera angle, but camera quality,
Jokey.
it's you're trying to explain what you're doing, and you got 35-kilometer gusts behind you that are just howling you all over, like
But that's the same. But at the same time, so that's where it's hard because we turn around and we say, well, we want people to appreciate the content because it is hard
that.
work.
And no,
That
that is true.
person put that hard work into it, and it's hard. It's hard. Like if it doesn't hit
uh,
you right, gosh, it's such a double-edged sword. It really is.
and that is it really is. I think I think, just like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
more you do it, you're going to go out there, the more consistent you get with it, and you just keep putting out the content. And just like anything else, it'll come, and you'll see it. And I could even go back to you know photos of myself out on the water, and
Hmm.
and you're talking to a guy that just uses an iPhone. So like, when it comes to camera and social media, like that's what I use. It works
Hmm.
for me, and that's how I share my story. But like, I'm sure you look back at it and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I could have done it this way. I could have done it that way. But I think that's where the little child in all of us comes out, and he
Hmm.
says, actually, I shot it this way. And I think the biggest thing with any content, be yourself, let it be your story. You know what I mean? Like just be you, like this is Adam Pross, you know what I mean? This is Chad Brock,
Do
you
your
know what I
thing.
mean? This is ours, this is my story, I don't, and not everybody's going to, maybe like it, and you'll have some people that like it, but at the end of the day, do what makes you happy, like that at the end of the day, you got to be happy with it and, be proud of it, and the people that appreciate it will definitely go out and I would say throw all the love and roses they can for it. You know what I mean?
Dean's got an interesting statement that I'm going to make a statement about, and that's absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
I don't like it. Like,
no.
No. Okay.
Just no.
Okay.
Just
like,
no.
We're just gonna.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not bringing them back. No. Just no. We're going a different way.
Okay. Okay. Now we're getting down to about an hour and 20 minutes here, and I think this has been a lot of fun. And you know what?
Weird sitting over here.
Yeah, do we have any more questions that aren't referring to some secret trip adventure thing that's going on here we don't want to talk about? I think we'll just end it there then, right?
Yeah, I'm going to end it there. And yeah, we got stuff in the hopper. It's going to be a fun year. Yeah. So 2024, hopefully some new stuff. We're going to keep the train going on my end. Looking forward to it.
And
new ideas are coming.
For all the new people that are out there that may not know Chad, where they can find you, like where can we find Chad and all that fantastic content?
Yeah, so you can just pretty much Chad's Bassin on the gram and Chad's Bassin on the threads, and then just Chad Brock on the Facebooks. That's pretty much where to find me. And if you follow at Jackson Kayak Fishing, most of you are following at Jackson Kayak because you're here. But yeah, we'll have some new. We're gonna launch some new stuff in the coming year, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll
Sounds
have
exciting, man.
Different things going on, and I'm looking forward to it. You can also catch this podcast and all the others on Spotify. If you hit up the Orion podcast, this one will be there, as well as all the other 70 some podcasts that we've put out over the past couple of years.
Right
so yeah, go give us a listen. Adam's been on there a couple times. Zach and I have the Orion podcast. Great slew of guests and some different avenues of life that aren't necessarily just kayak fishing. We've had Olympians and
you guys have had
all kinds of fun stuff.
Really cool guests on that, I have to say. And even the last guest there on Tuesday night, Wired to Fish, Jason Sealock there.
Jason Sealock,
wow. Like that was I was really interested by that one, just because it's neat to see something that when I got into fishing, I remember I signed up for it, and then I think it was a couple of months later I got this envelope in the mail and I opened it and it was from Wired to Fish and they had sent me stickers, and I remember putting those stickers on my top. I thought it was the coolest thing. Like I was like, I love stickers, but I just thought it was neat that these guys had actually sent me, because they used to do a lot of giveaway draw stuff. But no, Chad, as we come to the end of this tonight, thanks a lot for coming on and chatting with us on the great topic of content creation and social media. And oh man, it was a lot of fun, and it was. I'm sure next week you'll be thrilled to be back in your on your throne of the Jackson Kayak.
I don't know if we call it the throne. I don't know if we need to call it a throne. It's just I'm just the only one dumb enough to do it.
Well, that makes two of us then now.
Well, dude, and for folks that don't understand what's going on here, Adam's actually getting ready to start his own podcast.
That's right.
I'm taking back over. It's my turn. I'm taking back over. So Adam's getting ready to start his own podcast. So that's kind of why we did this role reversal here a little bit tonight. So
no, it was fun.
kind of follow Adam on socials. Get ready for what he's about to bring to the table. We're excited for him and what he's about to do. So this was a good little practice run for him. So shoot him a message of encouragement as he takes on this journey, and be sure to follow him, River Run Fishing.
Yeah, River Run Fishing, and we'll in the next little bit I'm sure there'll be more of the podcast. This guy right here taking it on. So no, thanks again. I really appreciate it, and it was lots of fun. And Jackson Kayak, like you guys have a great podcast, and it is somebody to really mentor as Chad, when you talk social media, and just that is a fantastic topic, and it better, in my opinion, than a lot of people. So, to sit here and talk that topic with you is awesome, man.
You didn't ask me for any tricks, so good night, everybody. I got out of that one pretty easy.
All right, you guys enjoy. All right, well, thanks again.